Hello everyone, I am Tacet and welcome to the Gems of War raid stream, week 34, day 7. So today, don't forget to go finish out raids, but today, of course, we're going to be going over all the spoilers for the week as we normally do every single Sunday nights, and yeah, let's get into it. As far as next week, we have mostly an interesting Friday as far as things going on. However, tomorrow, we are, of course, still getting our standard new troop as we do every single week on Monday. So this one is going to be the Thaumator? The Thaumator. Why must they make weirder names every single time? But anyways, as far as what this thing does is it's a red, purple, 12 mana cost troop. It deals a bunch of damage to all purple enemies, and then drains 1 to 3 mana from them. So it is drained, so it does not get to accumulate that mana from them. So this is obviously only meant as a early game purple counter for purple Guild War, is essentially the whole purpose of this. We do have a Guild War event going on next week, actually, if I'm not mistaken. We should. Let me just double check. Should be starting this Monday, or, Monday prep and then Tuesday into the Guild Wars. But yeah, we got that going on, so we'll be able to go and potentially use this in early game to, that's not what I wanted to do, I didn't want to go all the way out. So we'll potentially be able to use that in early game to mid game if you do not have other options for your Guild War defend that can end up countering this. I hope they do this more so into the future, always planning like to come in through glory every single Guild Wars. Quite often they don't actually match, but lately they've kind of been matching. If I'm not mistaken, didn't we get the Null last Guild War? Now this time around we're going to be getting this, so yeah, I think they might be doing that as a theme now, and I hope they do continue to do this, because it'll be a really nice theme if we keep seeing more Guild War related troops come in every single Guild War week, because normally they don't, but it might be a thing now going forward, so that'd be pretty cool. So I'll have to wait till next month and see what next Guild War we'll end up getting in that regard. Last time the Null that we ended up getting was pretty good for late game. This one, not so much. This is definitely geared towards early game kind of players. You would pretty much never use this later in the game. It's just too little damage. And while it's nice to be able to mana drain the entire team like that, it doesn't have Empower. It doesn't have any kind of quick start. It's overall going to be pretty lackluster. But if you don't have anything, it's definitely an option. It's only rare. You can get it for 300 glory next week. Technically 2 copies of it for only 300. And you can stock up and try getting it maxed. The most noteworthy thing that's happening next week is one of the strongest mythics in the entire game is being released. It might even literally be the strongest. It's going to be pretty insane, and they have yet to nerf it. We've gone all this time, and they still have not nerfed this troop. So there is a good chance this troop will come out exactly as you see it here, though there's a still chance that they will tweak it between now and Friday. But as it stands, this is what the stats are currently at. So Lord of Slaughter, remember the name because you'll be seeing a lot of it soon. It's a mythic from Wild Plains. It's a Warger construct. One interesting thing about this is that it is the first construct mythic in the game. However, one bad thing about both of those two types is Wargear and constructs currently do not have 50% mana start, meaning this troop, as of this current moment in time, cannot be half mana started. Best you could do is 20% mana start off of a Medal of Anu. So it's going to have a little bit of a mana deficiency because of that. However, that's not what you're using it for. But here it is, its ability if you do use it for that. It's a 24 mana cost green, blue-red. It shares overlap with a web spinner, so, it's basically kind of like a web spinner setup. There's instances where web spinner will still be better than this. However, there are many instances where this will be better than web spinner. But it creates 6 brown gems. It then gets to convert all those browns to Doom Skulls, so it's basically a Shegra for brown instead of red, and for Doom Skulls instead of normal skulls, which is much better. It then also gets to inflict 1 to 2 additional bleeds on top of that, which will do a little bit of true damage per turn, and it gets to do 1 and 2 death marks on top of that, which hits on random enemies, so it basically has life and death attached to it, at least in regard to the little death mark random mechanic just plopped right on top. It has some skull reduction, which works really well with the fact that it's going to be so skull oriented and always used in first slots. It has the second trait's actually really going to synergize well into its final, which is summon a Doomstorm at start of battle. If I'm not mistaken, this is the first troop to be able to do this. There's already hero classes that can do this, several of them. However, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first troop that gets to Doomstorm at the start of battle, specifically at the start for 4 turns. And normally with him, you'll probably win the battle within that quickly as well. And The main thing and the main gimmick of this hero class is a mechanic that actually existed as of version 2.0 that was removed because it was so overpowered. It has a 100% chance to ignore armor with skull damage. Basically what this means is he has a 100% chance that every skull he does will hit on true damage, or will hit on their HP value. This basically means he only has to do half as much damage to the opposing enemy in order to kill it. Obviously, overall, this is technically less damage than Web Spinner's triple damage. However, this works on every single thing in the game, regardless of their immunity, which is the biggest thing where this comes into play, because you don't have to worry about impervious, you don't have to worry about immune to web or poison or anything like that. He will be able to do this onto every single troop in the game, regardless of what their effects are, traits, anything. So, yeah, this is going to be pretty strong, since... it's basically like an alternative Web Spinner, essentially. And it has a really, really good cast. Unlike Web Spinner's cast isn't horrible, but relative to this, it doesn't really help it, because Web Spinner is normally used as a skull-oriented troop, and its ability doesn't necessarily help that much with it, whereas this is a skull-oriented troop that has an ability that is completely centered around it, and the death marks help out too, because even when you don't kill every single enemy with your burst damage, you'll still get death mark likely onto at least one troop that is still alive, which would potentially die after a few turns. So overall, it has a lot of potential. I don't think it's going to be the absolute best Mythic in the game, but there's no way it's not like top 5 or top 10. So definitely highly advise getting it. You'll be able to get it starting Friday, and it will last for an entire week after that Friday, and it'll be in Glory Gem Guild and VIP chests as always. So yeah, you probably want to save all your Monday keys for that, for sure. Even if you're earlier in the game, you probably just want to wait a little bit on the keys and just open them this Friday. Normally, you necessarily wouldn't early on in the game for Mythics, but given that he's so close, you might as well just hold off on using your keys and save for this thing, as this will have a lot of potential, especially if you don't own a Web Spinner yet. Obviously, this has a much lower chance of dropping than a Web Spinner, but it serves a very similar role, just with a much different ability, and true damage is kind of interesting in how you can end up using it. Since you don't have to worry about immunity, you could basically just get his attack to be the same as all of their HP values, and once you do that, you will be able to one-shot everything, with the only exception being if they have some kind of skull reduction. While this does ignore, obviously, any kind of stats effects comparatively to a Web Spinner, it still does get negated by skull reduction, agile, stuff like that. The only way you counter that is with Enrage. You could try quick Enraging it, however, there isn't really a insanely good way of doing that currently. I think Gimlet could get one, but it's not really that good of one. There's a couple other abilities that can kind of give you Enrage on the first slot, but none of them super consistent at this current moment in time. What we really need is like a Legend or a Mythic that will guarantee Enrage first slot every extra turn, of which we don't currently have. But once that does come into the game, this will also become quite a bit more viable, as well as Web Spinner, but particularly this as well. But anyways, overall, definitely a Mythic worth considering. It's going to be pretty good. This is probably not the absolute best, but definitely really devastating nonetheless. Anyways... so, in other news, other things that's going on this week, we got a couple of them. This Tuesday, we got a faction event for Stonesong Aerie. Stonesong Aerie, actually one of the easier factions to do, and Harpy Mage is a pretty good free epic that you pretty much get from buying into packs, so definitely worth getting a little bit to go get the Harpy Mage if you don't already have one laying around. Really good mana accumulation option, normally used with Mountain Crusher plus Harpy Mage, kind of like a Mountain Crusher Leprechaun kind of combo. There's a couple different combos that you can do around that, as well as like Leprechaun and Thrall and stuff like that, but overall, Harpy Mage, pretty good mana accumulator if you haven't already picked it up. Other than that, it's also one of the easier factions in the game. I think I already just mentioned that. Anyways, this Wednesday we're getting the Mick Mimic. Wait, what? Mick Mimic. Don't you mean Mini Mimic? Oh, that's a new troop. Oh, we're getting the... I was going to say. That's a new troop. We're getting the 4th of July pet. We're getting a cosmetic 4th of July pet for the U.S. Independence Day for 2020. I think we got the eagle the first time. I forget what we got the second time. And this time we're getting a little burger. Yeah, I had a pretty nice cookout last year for 4th of July. But obviously, I won't be going anywhere this year or doing anything because coronavirus is still a thing. So it's going to be unfortunate. We don't really get to celebrate Independence Day. But, oh well, we'll do it in Animal Crossing, our social distancing game. Which is kind of funny. Apollo in my Animal Crossing town actually has a birthday on that day because he's American Eagle. So he has his birthday on July 4th, which is pretty funny. Actually, when I was really young, I couldn't go to see fireworks on 4th of July. And on the very first Animal Crossing game back in, like, gosh, 2002 or so, I was just doing Animal Crossing and watching the fireworks in-game. because I couldn't go in real life to see any fireworks. So I was like, I'll just do it this way. It was pretty funny. That's probably one of my favorite memories I ever actually had of the first game. Anyways, in other news, where was I? Class event. So, for class event this week, we have the very useless class of Oracle. Is one of the very last ones that I maxed, as you guys know. And, yeah, it's pretty useless. You pretty much probably don't already have it maxed, so you just get some free XP. Don't bother maxing it. It is extremely bad in the current state of game. And other than that, this weekend we have two things. Obviously, on Friday and for the following week after, we will be having the new Mythic coming out. However, we're also going to be having an Invasion Weekend event, so don't forget to go do that. It is a very short guild-wide event, so do make sure to go in and assist your guild with that event this weekend. And, yep, that's the whole game plan of everything that is occurring. That's the full rundown, and hopefully we get next patch soon, TM. Also, I made sure not to claim these today because we got an orb, and I didn't want to claim them all individually. So I made sure to go and claim it all now, so we can go see what this orb is. Please be a blue or purple. That is not a blue or purple. How disappointing. And I believe we already claimed everything from raids, but don't forget, if you haven't already finished out raids, today is the last day to go do raids. You got 6 hours and 45 minutes as of this exact moment in time. I ran this the entire time, uses 0 mythics. It's Mang, Crysturtle, Nimue, and Tuscarora. There's still enough time to do the entirety of it if you haven't even started it yet, so get on that. But obviously we already finished out all rewards. Once you get all rewards, you pretty much don't need to do anything because the only other reward you can get is leaderboard. So once you get all rewards, there is no point in going any further once your guild has achieved that. Though don't forget, the weapons, I believe, still available too. Didn't we get a weapon? It's not a good weapon, but it's a weapon nonetheless. It's a Merlantis bonus weapon. It's okay. It's very situational, and you'd pretty much never use it. But don't forget, you still have the rest of today to go and get that if you haven't already. So, yeah, you won't be able to get this weapon for a very, very long time otherwise. So do make sure to pick it up if you do want it. You can get it either through 250 gems in the event, or alternatively, if you haven't done the event and you did a really small amount, like a tier 1, tier 2, or just not even bothering, you can still get the weapon in Soulforge for the next 6 hours or so. You can find underneath weapons, and it is right over here. And it's also slightly cheaper the week of the event. Normally it would cost 600, you know, all the higher amounts. However, it is cheaper during the event, so if you do want to go and pick this thing up, if you haven't already through the event, you still have time, and it's relatively cheap. Plus, with Diamond Day today, you pretty much will have all the diamonds for it, so assuming you have the other 2 resources, you can go pick that up. Anyways, speaking of that, let's go clear out dungeons. Let's go clear out all of our dailies. Let's actually change to HP. I like running the Phoenicia for all this, since Phoenicia does this wipe through everything. So let's switch over to our Phoenicia, wipe everything out, go from there. Where's my Phoenicia? There it is. Phoenicia, we need you. We need your assistance. Hello, Barbara. What did you miss? We mostly just went over all of the event stuff for the week, which of course we'll be doing again in the video of the week. But of course we always go over on Sunday as well, just as a little preemptive measure. This is a little brief one. Anyways, hello Birdleaf, hello Cookie, hello Kuwait, and thank you. Hello Isabel, hello Jose, hello Bill, hello Cookie, hello Animus, hello Original, hello Bill, hello Scout, hello Alfie, hello Matthew, and hello Barbara, and hello Corey, and hello everyone else. Welcome, welcome. How you're gonna name the new pet Hamburglar? That's funny. It is a pretty juicy hamburger. Which I haven't had hamburgers for a while. Mostly because I've quit fast food since coronavirus. If anything good has come out of the coronavirus for me, which barely anything has, because it's hard to find anything good. The only thing that's kind of good about the coronavirus, at least for me, is it has basically made me quit fast food. Ever since college, I was addicted to fast food for a very, very long time. But at this point, initially, I was obviously staying away from it completely. And even though now it's like slightly safer to still do so, I've still been completely staying away from it. And at this point, I think I permanently am never going to have fast food again. I might have like ever so slight occasions where I like cheat with friends or, you know, stuff like that on it. But yeah, I'm pretty much never going to eat fast food again, I think. Sounds like a good decision. And if nothing else, this, the virus has helped me quit fast food. Though I've still actually gained weight. I need to exercise more. But I have been eating healthier. If nothing else. I just haven't been as active. Maybe we'll need to start mandatory daily ring fit. I have been jogging some, playing, what's it called though, which I actually haven't streamed yet. But I've been using it as my, as the treadmill game. because before I was doing Uno for it, but I use Clubhouse 51 Worldwide Classics normally for my treadmill purposes. Whenever on a treadmill, I just do that. There's a lot of games on there are really easy to just, you know, do while you're on a treadmill. Since they're all really basic. Is there another weapon alternative to Flamethrower for Yagwe Queen of Tanya? Yes, Urskia Crown. You get it from the Urskia Hero class questline. Assuming it's still obtained by the same method before. They kind of changed up hero classes or kingdoms a little bit, but I'm pretty sure it's still obtained from the same method. It's the only thing that's still obtained by that weird method. But yeah, if you complete out Urskia, I believe still partway through or at the end of it, ends up giving you a weapon called Urskia Crown. While Urskia Crown is not as good as Flamethrower, it is the closest weapon equivalent to it. And what's nice about it is you get it for free. Unlike Flamethrower, which you have to wait until it eventually shows up in Soulforge, and then you have to spend resources on it. But Urskia Crown is quite literally free. It just doesn't have as good of a byproduct. Like the summon on it, you never actually really need, at least in that kind of team setup. However, the red mana accumulation that it does is essentially the same as Flamethrower, just slightly different. That's the closest equivalent you're going to get without having it. Yeah, I still have the elephant in the background. Hello, Liz! Welcome! Hello, Opportunist as well. Oh, no gluten or dairy for 3 months. Oh, gosh. I'm not sure if I've ever done that for 3 months. I could do it for probably a week or a few weeks. My biggest problem is, while I know most things that have dairy in it, I'm not sure if everything that has gluten in it. Though I definitely know everything that has nuts in it, because I'm definitely allergic to nuts. So I've gone 25 years without nuts. There's actually a lot of candy I can't have. That I did have when I was like super, super young, and I remember the taste of. But there's a lot of candy I can't have, which is almost a good thing. But I can't have M&Ms, I can't have Twix, I can't have I like a lot of like the standard really name brand chocolates that exist within America. I can't actually eat because they're all processed with nuts, or in factories that do nuts or something nuts, which makes it so I can't eat them. Also, don't forget, always spend 50 gems on the Sunday dungeon. It is always worth it. It is higher value this day than any of the other 6 days. So do make sure to, or I should say other 7 days total, 6 days other days. So I was right the first time. But anyways, it's best value on Sunday, and is always worth doing regardless of what point you are in the game. If you have dungeons unlocked, you should always be spending 50 gems every Sunday, because you get a Celestial from it. You get, which is a good way of just consistently getting 1 Celestial per week if you still need them. 80 diamonds, which that alone is worth 50 gems. 2 gem keys, which is pretty much worth like 18, 20 gems, however you look at it. And 400 shards, which is basically the equivalent of another 4 gems. So you're basically getting 84 diamonds, I mean. And the souls just cover the cost of the shards converting into diamonds. So, yeah, pretty good value for only 50 gems. And it is always worth it at every single point in the game. Even if you only had 50 gems total on your account, it is still worth going for every Sunday. It's one of the few really good value things within the game, though it's only once per week on Sunday. Anyways, so, speaking of that, what gem offers do we have today? Anything good? Nope, not really. That's never worth it. This is only worth it if you still need event keys, of which I don't. And this could be worth it. However, we finally got all the magic ones upgraded, so I don't even need to go for that anymore. So overall, I think we are good here. We don't need any of that. So, next order of business. Let's go and token grind. We, of course, have been doing this a lot lately. And we will be doing it a lot more, because we still will obviously always need tokens. And we've been grinding it this last week or so, and we will be grinding it into the next several months, because we have finally finished all the hero classes. So now we can focus on the main other thing that we need to get upgraded, and that is our tokens to go upgrade legends, mythics, stuff like that, which we've done pretty much none of. Literally 0 mythics and only 1 legend so far. Still got a ways to go. Let's see. Have I talked about spoilers yet? For next patch or for the week? For the week, yes. For next patch, no. We haven't gotten any info yet that we can leak them, if not mistaken. Unless they posted something on social today that I didn't notice. I checked yesterday and there wasn't anything, but I'll go check again today. Have they posted anything? No. They just posted the event stuff, and the last one was Sharky. No spoilers yet. However, next Saturday they could, potentially. But yeah, we've yet to get one yet. I'm not sure why they haven't done one, but we'll get it pretty soon, hopefully. Soon, TM. But as it currently stands, nope, no public spoilers yet in that regard. But it is around the corner. It is very, very close. Next patch is probably within the next few weeks, maybe even sooner. Its most likely date is probably next week, Tuesday, or the following week, Tuesday. Though neither of those dates have been confirmed. But if there was a very likely time for it to occur, one of those two times would be the most likely. It definitely has to be within the game by the 20th, if I'm not mistaken, before the 20th of next month. So we know for sure it's happening before then, but it's likely happening even earlier than that. Also, if you may have noticed on the other screen, actually, never mind, I might not have actually showed the other screen, but we only know up to a certain point as well as far as the things, which we're definitely getting an update before that point. So, yeah, we currently only know to July 13th, technically. So pretty much 100% before the end of that week, which we already knew. Yeah, before the 20th. There's other reasons why it'd be before the 20th as well. But yeah, it's definitely 100% before the 20th. Because currently, as far as we know, is July 13th. Which means we're definitely getting an update around then. Or earlier. Anything new with the new update? Yes, it's a 5.0 patch, which makes it one of the biggest updates we've ever had. It's been a while since we got a 0.0 patch. If I'm not mistaken, it is the longest amount of time the game has gone without a 0.0 patch, going almost 2 full years. The longest duration of time without a 0.0. And, yeah, it'll be bringing in some interesting features. I'll be able to go over it more once we can. I know pretty much everything about it. But a lot of it I can't say. Yet, anyways. But we'll be discussing it and going over it in depth. It'll be changing up the meta some. It both will and will not. It's an interesting combination. It's hard to explain without saying what it is, though. Overall, I'm curious to see how it pans out. Let's see. We'll take that for now. Grab ourselves a thing over there. Yes, very soon, TM. I know, a lot of fun games are getting really big patches soon. Actually, probably this Tuesday or so, I might be doing a stream for Smash. Like, we have a lot of big updates coming soon. Gems of War is getting a really huge update. Smash is getting a really huge update. Like, Gems of War is getting 5.0. Smash is getting 8.0 and Min. And Animal Crossing this Saturday, or actually this Friday, but I'll be streaming it Saturday. Because obviously we'll be doing Gems of War stuff on Friday. But Animal Crossing this Friday is getting the first summer event. So a lot of updates pretty much within the next week or two. And we will be streaming actually all 3 of those. I haven't actually played Smash on the channel for a while. Though I do play it about as much as Animal Crossing. It's just almost all of it isn't on stream. Unlike Animal Crossing, which a good number of it has been on stream. Because they both have almost about the same amount of hours in them. Let's see. We'll throw that down for now. You just got all kingdoms of 5 stars. Nice. Very nice. Definitely a good milestone because of how much stats you end up getting increased from it. Which ends up helping out a lot for long term as well as getting into better guilds. I'm not sure how prevalent it is these days, but it used to actually be a requirement for quite a few guilds to have like 5-star before you get in. Or at minimum level 10 all kingdoms, if nothing else. And they can check by seeing how many stats your troops have to determine if you're around that point. You started torturing yourself with non-potion pure faction? Oh yeah, it's really hard. Just because of you. If we don't get something dope at max renown. We don't currently know what will happen at that point. But they have made mention in the past that they might do something really special for it. And with setup that's occurring next patch, it will be possible that they can implement something like that. Will we indeed get something? Who knows? But there is a very good chance we will, but it has yet to be confirmed in any way, shape, or form. But there is a good chance for 30 max factions or something like that, we will get something. It has yet to be confirmed, though. But there is a really decent chance it happens. Because we're getting a rarity above Mythic next patch. Things won't be able to upgrade to that point, but there'll be unique troops that will be really hard to get. For example, Zugov will be one of them. He'll now be the rarity above Mythic. The first and only one. At least until time goes by. But there's likely going to be really hard to obtain troops going into the future. Similar to Zugov. Their method of obtaining could be different than in Zugov. Who knows, they might even be the same. And some of them requiring orbs. But slowly over time, we'll be getting like really, really hard to obtain things through various things in the game. What exactly the requirements for some of them are yet to be determined. But it'll be interesting to see how it ends up panning out. Yep, tribute. Nice. Grab that. What do we take here? Let's go for Golvania. I should have taken purple to brown. That works too, though. It might be Paragon for Guild War this week. Nice. I actually forgot what rating I have for my guild. I might actually be Paragon as well. I hope I am. I like whenever we're Paragon because we get to get better data on defend teams whenever we're Paragon. As long as you're one of the top 2 ranks, you get decent data for it. If you're in like any other rank, the data can be pretty inconsistent because a really good team could go 0-10 or something 0-6 or 0 whatever. Yeah, it could still be like one of the most meta things in the game. You don't really get like super good data unless you're really high up. You have to be at least like the top 3, Paragon or the second in command there. Either of those top 3 will get really good data. Any other location gives pretty inaccurate data as far as how good a defend team actually is in Guild Wars. Is there a rhyme or reason to upgrading the Hordes and Underworld? Or just Shotgun? What do you mean? Oh, well, for 100, you do want to get every single one to 100 because you end up getting 500 Renown for it. The only reason you would go further than that is if you're just trying to do Pure Faction 500 and you're finding you're struggling, or if you're trying to do Pure Faction 500 without spending any gems. You can end up upgrading one to like 200 or even a little bit further than 200, have the 50% bonus off a kingdom, and then try doing it completely without any potions whatsoever. Those are the main 2 reasons you do it. At minimum 100 because you need it for Renown, and anything beyond that is pretty much for level 500 Pure Faction to make it easier. Am I in Guild War bracket 6 next Guild War? I honestly have no clue what bracket we're in. I forget. I don't think we moved down by 2. I believe we're in bracket 5. We're in bracket 3, 4, or 5, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think we dipped to 6. However, if we did dip to 6, making first place in 6 is more reward than making not first place in 2nd to 5th. Which seems kind of weird, but that is the case. Or sorry, never mind. 2nd I think is slightly higher. And 3rd, 4th, or 5th. Making first place in 6 is more gems than any non-first place position in 3rd, 4th, or 5th bracket. So even if we did drop down to 6, we could theoretically actually get more loot in 6 than we could in the other ones. Because there's a bonus 50 gems whenever you win first place in a bracket. Regardless of what bracket you're in. Did you just agile that? What are you doing? Oh, he also didn't get enough mana. Come on now. Win it already. Let's see. We'll throw that down. Oh, you're going to be in bracket 6 this week? Yeah, I'm not sure if we're going to be. But we'll find out tomorrow what bracket we're in. I don't think there's a way to check it now, is there? I don't think there is. There used to be, but that whole screen is so weird nowadays when it's not the event. It used to tell like so much better information. I'm not sure why it's so weird now. I'm not sure why they have it like they currently do. Oh, I should have taken that skull. Could have gotten the kill there. That should be enough red. Actually, exactly enough red. Unfortunately, not enough mana, though. I probably should just flame referred for that, but well. We'll get down this, if it'll let me. End your turn already. This might wipe him. No, not quite. Oh, I was hoping to have one more skull follow-up. Okay, flame refer. Somehow missing so hard. At this point, he's just gonna die to burn. Let me just let him die to burn. Or skull, there we go. He would have died next turn regardless. As long as the burn didn't cleanse off him. But let me go double check the thingy. Also, look at how much more gold we have than normal. You may notice that my gold is way higher than it would normally be at this time this week. And the main reason for that is we're actually farming gold properly now. While Explore 12 chasing isn't the quickest gold rate in the entire game, it is way higher than the rate you get when trying to level up hero classes. So, yeah, we got 5 million gold now. And that's after already donating to our guild and everything. Now we'll probably put in 2 million next week, and you'll start to notice our gold actually increasing for once. Gasp. Which hasn't really been doing much lately. But, yeah, how much gold did I do this week? I think we did enough already. Yeah, 1.5 million, pretty much minimum. Because we are increasing our new minimum to 1.5 million starting next patch. Mostly because gold will ever so slightly be easier to obtain next patch. Not by much, but there are a few factors that will be increasing it. Both directly and indirectly. Mostly indirectly. Actually, pretty much all indirectly. But some directly. Anyways, next thing. I'm going to go hand out code, actually. And then we'll go finish out that one kingdom thing. Haven't handed out a code yet. Which also reminds me, I should probably go remind Salty. Again. Let's see, how many times did I remind her so far? Oh wait, only once? I thought I reminded her at least twice now. Okay, well, let me go remind her again. Hello, Salty. Actually, I should probably @ Salty just so it gets into her thing as well. Hello, @ Salty. Just a reminder, I need codes when you get the chance. Thanks. I still have enough to last for several more days, but it won't be enough to go through the entirety of the week. And she's normally only around like at the beginning of the week, it feels like. Okay, anyways, let me go figure out what code we're up to. I believe this is the one. And if this is the one, we only have like a dozen codes left. Since we hand out 2 on some days, that's not a lot. Let's see, I'll put that in there, put that in there. Have we used this yet? Yes, we have. Okay, yeah, we have less than a dozen. Okay, is this one good? Yes, it is. Okay. So yeah, I think we have 6 codes left then. Which is not enough to go for an entire week. So hopefully she'll give me more tomorrow or soon. Soon, TM. But I did remind her a week ago. Anyways, there you guys go. There's a redeem code used on gemsaward.com with the game code section. Your invite code can be found in your settings menu. Redeem code is right over there in chat. And give same reward as always: 2 treasure maps, 1 gem key, 200 souls, and 2,500 gold. And enjoy, everyone. And of course, it's only usable on PC mobile version. And save the gem key for the Mythic next Friday. Every gem key redeem code you get, make sure to save those. Mythic next Friday is going to be very, very good. Anyways, I just realized we still haven't killed 100 troops yet. I'm actually kind of surprised. I guess because the rate at which you do Explore 12 is a little bit slower than that compared to just quick killing. Also, I guess we were talking for like the first half of the stream as well. How do you defeat the boss in the boss level in Broken Spire? I'm not sure which one you're referring to. Do you mean all the way in early game? Like when you first start the game? Because, yeah, that's actually relative to what you have at the time. The first final battle in Broken Spire is actually probably the hardest questline battle in the entire game, which is kind of funny. Just relative to what you currently own at the time. The best way to go about it would see if you have any troops currently that have a boost ratio. Anything that has a really, really good boost ratio, particularly one that does damage to the opposing team that can target their Shagra directly, would be your best bet. If you don't, then go any option that has targetable damage onto that you can target onto Shegra. The biggest issue with that battle is generally killing Shegra before it casts. As long as you can do that, you should be good to go. Also, keep in mind whatever your banner choice is. Banner affects how much mana you get whenever you take the gem off the board. And you should have more than one kingdom right now. I think the tutorial forces you to get a Donna, which has a red-yellow banner. You're defaulted to Broken Spire, which is a brown-blue banner. So depending on what team you're running, you might want to change your banner in order to give your team more mana towards what you actually need. Because basically how banners work is you get mana, whenever you take that color off the board, you get that much additional mana. So like for example, right now I have a +3 to red overall, and +2 to purple. So whenever we go and take a bunch of red or purple on the board, we'll get 3 additional for red and 2 additional for purple whenever we touch it on the board. Oh, and there's our 20 daily gems from the thing. Nice. Pets are always active. The pet that you have equipped does not affect the bonuses that you get. All pets are always active. They only apply their bonuses if their bonus is applicable to the battle. For example, if one pet gives extra bonuses to whenever you use multiple knights in a team, it will only ever take effect when there are 3 or 4 knights on your team. There's no other situation where it will take effect. But yeah, whatever pet you're holding is completely cosmetic. Like right now I have the shark pet on it, which is literally just a cosmetic pet. However, whatever pet you have equipped has no effect on the bonuses that you currently have. It's just fully cosmetic, regardless if it's a cosmetic pet or not. Oh, I should have taken brown there too. Whoops, not that big a deal though. Could also take an extra turn blue. That one actually probably would have mattered a bit more. But oh well, we'll just throw this down and, oops, misclick. And then just kill. If anyone has any other questions, feel free to ask. Oh, is Mythic in event keys next week? No. The way that new Mythics work is they are never actually in the... new Mythics are never in the... what's it called? The event keys. The way that event keys work is they're always active based on whatever the kingdom is. So, for example, next week is the Divinion's Field Kingdom event. So the only things that will be within the drop table will end up being Divinion Field's troops. So that will be Centaur, for example. Or not Centaur, what's his name? Wardbreaker, I mean. But the Mythic that's within event keys is always based on the kingdom that is currently active. It is not based on if there's an exclusive Mythic. It's why underneath the thing it always says Glory Gem, Guild, and V. It's because there's 2 keys that will not have them in. Gold keys and event keys. Gold keys because gold keys can't even drop Mythics. And event keys because it's always based on the kingdom and not specifically based on the exclusive Mythic. Also, one other thing to note about exclusive Mythics, which is something that someone brought to my attention, which I do know, but I never really mention, is you cannot get the exclusive Mythic automatically off of legendary tasks. So what I mean by this is you should not save all of your gold for when there's a new Mythic exclusive into the drop table. The Mythic that you get off of a legendary task, if you were to get the really rare chance to get a Mythic, is not guaranteed going to be the exclusive Mythic that is within the drop table. It'll be a completely random Mythic. It will not be the Mythic that is exclusive. I never actually mentioned that it was, but someone did bring to my attention that I generally don't remind people that that's a thing, even though I am aware. So there's no point in hoarding a bunch of gold for when there's an exclusive Mythic week. The only thing that you can kind of do guild-wide that would kind of help with that is save a bunch of purple orbs for the Monday after a new Mythic comes out. So that would be 1 week from tomorrow. 1 week from tomorrow, you could throw a bunch of your purple orbs. So that's when you go into the following week while the Mythic is still available. You can on Monday have 40,000 seals. So you can immediately open up seal keys. So there's that. However, that's the only thing you can kind of do guild-wide that would actually assist you in getting a Mythic. And it would just make it so you can open seal keys immediately at the beginning of the week, rather than having to wait till like Wednesday, Thursday, or whenever your guild normally gets around to hitting 40,000. Let's see. We'll throw that down for now. Any other questions? Let me know. Didn't even know Legendary Task could give Mythics. Yes, it's a very, 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 very rare chance. But yes, Legendary Tasks do have a small chance of getting a Mythic. I'm pretty sure I've gotten about a dozen Mythics that way. However, that's over the course of multiple years. I think they've been out for about 3.5 years now. And in that time, I've only probably gotten about a dozen Mythics. Maybe closer to 20. I'm not sure the exact count. But it's definitely not over 100, I know that. But I'm pretty sure it's somewhere around like 12 to 25. Somewhere within there is probably how many Mythics I've gotten from Legendary Tasks. Though they're completely random. Also, keep in mind you don't get Zugoff or Xenos from it either. Those are always, of course, only craftable. Actually, the drop table of a Legendary Task, I believe, is the same as a basically whatever gem key or anything would be at the time, with the exception that it doesn't do the it doesn't have the exclusivity during whenever there's only one in the drop table. It still always just uses the full drop table. What am I looking for here? I'll throw that down for now. We'll grab that instead. Oh, never mind, we're entangled. It's not dead. What are you doing entangling us? Wish there's an easy way to cleanse out of it on your turn without using B-Tricks. Power of B-Tricks. I don't use B-Tricks too often, though. Very situational. It's definitely more of a Guild War kind of option. Also, where are all the good tokens at? I haven't gotten a single good token, unless I just missed it, but I'm pretty sure. I normally notice whenever we get an Anu or Nisha. But we haven't gotten a single good one this stream. Though getting more tokens in general is still good. Is it possible to get the new Mythic from a Legendary Task on the week of the Mythic? I am not 100% certain on that. I believe the answer is actually no, to be honest. Because it's trying to pull from the drop table of every Mythic where you would normally get it from. And if I'm not mistaken, the new Mythic doesn't get into that drop table, oddly enough, until the following week. So until the Friday after it's out of the drop table is when it goes into the drop table. If I'm not mistaken. I'm not 100% certain on that. But if I'm not mistaken, it is actually impossible to get the new Mythic from a Legendary Task on the week that the Mythic is exclusive in Glory Gem Guild or VIP chests. Even though that seems kind of weird. It's the Friday after that I believe is when it is added to that drop table. I'm not 100% certain on that, but I'm pretty sure like 80-90% that is the way it works. It's really, really hard to figure that out, though. You'd have to data mine it. But from what I've seen, that is the way that it works. Based on what they've said in the past. But they've never like definitively say that's how it works. But that seems like how it works. Is you can't get it the week of, but immediately once it's out of drop table, it's in the drop table. I know that almost makes no sense. But it's because that's the way that it comes into... the reason why I say that is because that's the way it comes into Glory Gem Guild and VIP keys. Because the second after the Mythic is no longer exclusive, it is immediately added to Glory Gem Guild and VIP chests. And that drop table is the same one that that Legendary Task drops off of. Not counting when it's the exclusivity one. What does it mean when it's exclusive? I know, that is what exclusive means. It does actually say that on the thing. That's only available in Glory Gem Guild and VIP chests, which means no Legendary Tasks. But then right after the event, it is in Legendary Tasks. But that's pretty much how it works. Basically, a Mythic, when it comes out, is available in... there's basically every single function of a Mythic, from what I understand. So, a Mythic will come out like this Friday. It'll be available in only Glory Gem Guild and VIP chests, and no other way. There's not a single other way that you'd be able to get it in the entire game during that week. Then, after that week, it is added to the Glory Gem Guild and VIP key drop table. It is also added to the Legendary Task drop table. It is also added to the drop table where if you spend $50 to get a guaranteed Mythic, you will have a chance of getting that Mythic if you don't already own it. It is also added to... Is there any other drop table that could be added to? Oh, and then the only other thing is the cycle after the current cycle of Mythics. It'll be added to. So let's say we're currently on a cycle of Mythics. It's going to end in, let's say, 3 weeks. The Mythic will then be added to the cycle after the cycle has finished, the current cycle. If I'm not mistaken, it is not added to current cycle. It is not added till after the current cycle, which means sometimes it takes a while before the Mythic comes back around when one just happens. It depends where it kind of falls. But it happens to the cycle after current cycle. Which is good because if I'm not mistaken, this current cycle is about to end soon, which means the Mythic that's coming out this Friday will be available for diamonds a little bit quicker than quite a few other Mythics, because the cycle is almost over. Which means theoretically you could get this Mythic potentially in a couple weeks off of Soulforge. That's not guaranteed, obviously, but it could potentially be in Soulforge in a couple weeks. Could have a really quick turnaround if you don't happen to get it through gems or, you know, through keys and everything. You might be able to get it through diamonds soon. And it is something that's probably going to be worth considering crafting as well. As I mentioned, it is likely to be one of the better Mythics in the game. We'll still have to test around with it to see how good it actually is in practice compared to Web Spinner. Because one big issue it's going to have is Web Spinner is very similar to it, at least from a skull perspective, to overall damage output. And in many instances, Web Spinner actually has higher damage than it, not lower. The main instance where the new Mythic will be really good is if you're running a team that has a lot of mana accumulation, as well as if you're running up against a team that has Impervious at all. Which isn't that uncommon. Because instead of you having to use Web Spinner with like a curse, like with Mirage Queen or something, you can simply just use the new Mythic that's coming out, and that'll be the better option. Yeah, casual PvP is a lot less frustrating than the normal PvP. Normal PvP has like every single meta in the entire game, while also having these really weak battles that aren't challenging at all. It's a combination of the hardest battles in the game and the easiest battles in the game. Whereas casual PvP is a lot more of a natural mix of battles, rather than just a complete amount of super easy and super hard. Oops, I just changed the dimension of the thing. I need to make sure I fix that for the video. I accidentally have recorded Monday videos before with a slightly off aspect ratio, and it drove me absolutely crazy when I noticed it after the fact. I wasn't going to re-record the entire thing, but I have done that a couple times. I'm pretty sure most people haven't noticed when it does happen, but there are a couple times where it's off by a few pixels, and you see like this ever so slim black bar all the way on the side, and it drives me crazy. Also, we could still lose this battle if we're not careful. Hey, where's my mana? We'll take that and try for blue. Come on, where's my mana? Try that for a red. Try that for a red again. Come on, where's all my mana? Wow, what even is this board? Was that over, I guess? Take a skull. At this point, we can just one skull him. There we go, there's a Zugoff. Wow, that was a weird battle. You guys level 1,100, congrats. And Titan to 100 as well, very nice. Great combo to have. Ah, 2 token of guards. If we want guards, we'd go to explore 2 or 3. Don't give us guards. What are you doing? Alright, let's go take out Pride Lands. What is a good skull spam team using Sunspear? Anything with Zugoff. You can also use various weapons that have burn on them, and then use skull spam behind it. For example, Bronze Lock Pistol or Flameifer. There's a couple different weapons that are pretty good that have a burn on cast to first enemy. And this works really good into synergizing with triple damage on burning for its skulls. As far as actual skull options for it, Divinish Ball Aquilin is normally a pretty good way to go with it. If you're going to go skull spam into this kind of build. You also get Blessed, so you even have a bit of an Entangle counter as well, which is something that even this team lacks a bit of. Actually has literally no Entangle counter, which is sometimes annoying. But, yeah, Divine Spell Aquilin is normally a pretty good combo with it. If you're using the bunny with it too, you can end up getting a Bless to first slot, so you don't even need to worry about Entangle at all. The Bless does go away, but it has Cleanse attached to it, so you can kind of just use it as a Cleanse option and a temporary anti-effect thing. But the second you take a Skull and the second you take a cast, it'll get rid of Bless. Acting out of Bless at all will get rid of it. Pretty much any action that the troop makes, other than accumulating mana, will break Bless. But I say overall, Divine Shambhala Quillen's probably still one of the strongest, if not the strongest skull spams in the team. Just because it has a lot of range that it can cover. And most teams that use can be built into a composition with it that have immune to Entangle, which is very big for it. Because not every skull spam team runs immunity to Entangle. But obviously Entangle in most skull spam teams is the biggest counter to it. Which is one bad thing about next Mythic. It actually does not have immune to Entangle. Which, for obvious reasons, can be very problematic. However, one interesting thing that the mechanic of this troop should have, though, is the Doom Skull should hit through to true damage. So, even if you have 0 attack, and you do, like, 25 damage off of Doom Skulls, that 25 damage should be true damage every single time. So at least that effect of it still gets to go through. Similar to how Web Spinner would still do triple damage to every Doom Skull. The other troops should still hit true damage to every Doom Skull. That'll be interesting because this Mythic, even though it's a skull-oriented troop, it's actually 100% a true damage troop. Everything about it is true damage. It has instant kill. It has bleed, and it has true damage 100% rate on skull. So it could potentially get incorporated into a true damage build. One thing that we're currently missing, though, which would be a pretty cool addition to the game, we don't really have a true damage skull spammer, except for this new Mythic that's coming out literally this Friday. But not counting that new Mythic coming out this Friday, we don't have any other true damage skull spammers to synergize with it. Would be a really nice addition. But I don't believe there is any. I can't recall of one. But it's something we're currently lacking to synergize with the new Mythic that's coming out this Friday. And if we ever were to get it, that'd be a nice buff to him. There's two really big buffs that would eventually happen. Consistent enrage to him, which for the most part doesn't exist. There are a couple ways to consistently enrage, but not like extra turn consistency. And other than that, getting something that will be able to do that other mechanic, where you basically have a, oh gosh, the thing that I just mentioned. Having a skull spam true damaging thing, where you get to get like a little bit of poke of true damage that could potentially knock them down into kill range so that you don't need like an attack buff or something off a Stargazer. I'm pretty sure most teams won't use it with Stargazer. I know in the past it was a thing, but I think in the current state of the game, Stargazer will be quite a bit less effective. At least later in the game anyways. So hello, Gustavo. Hello, Anthony. Hello, Anarchy. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And hello, John, if I didn't already say hi. You've recently started playing again. You're only level 160, currently grinding PvP. Do you have any advice to getting gold to level up your kingdoms? PvP, what you're doing right now is pretty much the best way to get gold at that level in the game. So yeah, what you're pretty much already doing is perfectly fine. If you haven't already, you do want to do the quest line for every single kingdom. That ends up unlocking a lot of things over time. But yeah, for the most part, what you're doing right now is pretty much the way you want to be farming gold. PvP in early game is the easiest way to get gold. As you progress later into the game, Explore becomes more of a better option for it. However, I believe up to about level 500, possibly even up to 1,000, PvP remains your best method pretty much of obtaining gold throughout the game. What am I looking for? Where's the 20%? Gosh, that's the only problem with having only one 20%. They can hide very well sometimes. There it is, all the way in the bottom left corner. What are you doing over there? We'll probably go through 2 more sets of these until we get 1 more chest. This next one will end up giving a chest, but the one after will. I wish there was a way to 100% consistently get a chest every single time. The only bad thing about 20% chasing is about 1 in every 10 times you do not get a reward, like a chest. Like 1 in 10, 1 in 9 or so. You don't end up getting a chest because it only gives about 90 something. Sometimes a little bit lower towards the 80 end. Trample effect. I have no clue what trample does, but if I'm not mistaken, doesn't that do damage to the first enemy, and then all extra damage goes to the next enemy? If I'm not mistaken, it was mentioned in the past. I forget if they called it trample or not. It was mentioned a couple years ago, and they never ended up adding it. It was added. It was mentioned like 4 years ago, like if they could potentially add something like that. And they said they kind of would with troops, but then they never really did it. They basically did it with splash damage, but they never did it in the sense that all your damage transfers over. And I think the main reason for this is it would make skull spam very, 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 very exceedingly broken. If you saw a really old video of my Great Maul about 4 years ago, there was actually a mechanic where Great Maul in one single skull spam could wipe the entire battle because it basically had a trample effect, its final trait, where it could proc multiple instant kill chances, and that instant kill would seek the next enemy, and you could basically instant kill an entire team with one skull spam. It was very, very broken, and I believe that's the main reason why they haven't added a effect similar to Trample into Gems of War, because if they ever added something like Trample where your skull damage went to the next enemy, one single skull spam could just wipe out the entire enemy team if you get lucky enough. So I'm pretty sure that's the main reason why they haven't. Skull spam would just be way too broken if they ever did. Skull spam has pretty much never not been meta. It's been more meta at times than others, but it's never not been meta. And the biggest concern with it is there have been times in this game where skull spam has been so strong that casting damage was completely pointless. Like, there was no point in casting spells because skulls were just so strong. And a trample effect would definitely do that again, where skulls would be so strong that you would never cast another ability ever again that isn't skull oriented. Or mana accumulation method for the skull abilities. Like, you would never do like a magic damage kind of build ever if something like that was added. And that's the main reason why they didn't end up adding something like that. The closest equivalent we have to that is Splash, which isn't exactly the same, but it's a lot more balanced. And a smash. Let's see. You notice that in PS4 version, the reward in the dungeon is getting 150 diamonds for 150 gems, which is a great deal. But in PC Mobile, you need to pay real money for it. Yes, that is correct. It is worth going for the that pack that you mentioned for gems. But yes, it is money only in, I believe, every version except for PS4, oddly enough. I think even Xbox has it for money. But I'm pretty sure almost every version has it for money. For whatever reason, PS4 has it for gems, and I'm not sure why that is, but that is the case. But almost every version of the game has it for money only. The 50 gem one is for gems, but the other one's for money. But if you have that, it is always worth going for the other one for gems as well. It's not as good value of the 50 gems one, but still pretty good value for 150 gems. I would definitely go for it every single week if I could. Go for $5, definitely not. Let's see, we'll throw that down. There we go. Also, as soon as we finish out this, we'll probably call it a stream. So if anyone else has any other questions, let me know now. As soon as we get this chest drop, we'll probably call it a night. And then tomorrow we got Guild War prep. And during tomorrow night, we'll probably mess around with testing Guild War teams going into the following week. Or, you know, going into the following days. Is there a non-Zugoff version of the team made with High King Iron Gut? This exact team, no. But you can build Iron Gut teams for this. I have found them to be quite a bit slower, though. You're probably better off just going Urskia Shield Rowain at that point. It's the one I normally suggest, just because it's super cheap to build, and it's still effective. You do Urskia Shield into Rowain, You get your Leprechaun to mana accumulate for you with all your other mana accumulation method. You then go and double cast for Wayne, and then you win after their Scale Shield buff to it. That's enough damage to kill out Explore 12. It has an issue with Submerged Kingdoms, but other than that, it works really good. Submerged Kingdom and Spell Reduction Kingdoms. Besides from that, it works for everything. Oh, so hello, Kirsten. Welcome. Hey, anyone else have any other questions? Let me know. The Nintendo Switch version ever catch up with mobile? No, it didn't. Nintendo Switch version is still about 9 months behind. I'm not sure when they're going to finally get it up to date, if ever. It's one of the reasons why I don't play the Nintendo Switch version. Well, there's two reasons. One, it's not cross-platform. Like, if that was cross-platform, I would literally be playing on Switch almost every day. Maybe not for every single stream, but because it's actually slightly slower to play on Switch. It's because you have to do all controller. Like, if you do it in handheld, it's very quick. But if you're doing it where it's docked, where if I'm streaming, I would have to have it docked, it'd be slightly slower compared to mouse, keyboard, plus controller. Well, I'm not using controller right now. No controller right now. I normally only get a controller if we're going to be grinding a lot on a weekend. Normally Vault weekends. I don't grab it out for every stream. That's because there's a few glitches with it and a bit of extra lag that occurs. Even though it is overall quicker doing controller. Honestly, I almost feel like that lag exists within the game just because of how much quicker controller can do it. So to balance it out, they just are like, we're never going to balance out this lag. We're never going to fix this lag just because... Like, it was probably something that was in the game that there was, like, a natural issue with it. But I think the main reason why they're not fixing it is literally just a balanced controller, just to make sure it's not as overpowered as not using controller on PC mobile version. Though, even with the lag, it is still quicker using controller always. Combined with mouse and keyboard. Is it possible to transfer your account from Switch to mobile? You can ask them. I believe the answer is no. But if you want to go contact support on that and explain everything, you can do so through gemsofwar.com underneath the support section. And then go click on the top right. There should be a submit a request button. Fill out that form, and they'll get back to you. I'm pretty sure they won't, but it's worth asking. I'm like 90% they won't, though. But it's worth a shot. That's actually something I've been meaning to ask on. Not to transfer everything on my account, but since I don't use my Switch account anymore, I want to get the $70 worth of VIP points that I used on my Switch account over to my PC account. Let's see, I'll take that over. After getting all Kingdom Power to 10, what is the next major thing to do? Normally factions would be the next major thing to do after that. Eventually it'll be 20 star, but 20 star, for one, is a really big gap compared to 10 star to 20 star. It is exceedingly hard to make that difference. But we also don't even have any 20 stars yet. We probably will, either at the end of this year or early next year. However, as it currently stands, 0 20 stars exists. But yeah, I would say the main goal after... Oh, we didn't get anything good from the final chest. But I would say the main goal after 10 Star Kingdom is starting to work on factions a little bit. Because at that point, you have pretty much max stats. And most of the stats that you don't have that would progress you further are all in Faction Renown. The ones that you get from having really high total. These bonuses right here. The 2, 1, 5, 5. Like these bonuses right here, you probably have like half that many, maybe slightly less. Focusing on factions to get these is probably your next best bet. Because once you have 10 Star All Kingdom, you have like almost all the numbers I have right here. Maybe a little bit less because I have a couple 15 kingdoms as well. But those are from deeds, which you might have been accumulating during this time as well. Assuming you've been playing since deeds came out in last October. September. But yeah, overall, delves are the next location where you start getting extra stats. And generally when it comes to how you progress in this game, you're normally aiming for things that give you additional stats. And while kingdoms make up a good bulk of that, once you have 10 Star or Kingdom, the next location where you get a good bulk of it is either from finding a better guild, or from, if you're not already doing up to epic tasks, or Renown, which is probably your best bet, is focusing on getting more Renown, and that gives you slightly more stats. It's not a huge amount, but over time it starts to make a difference. Plus, there might be additional rewards that isn't just simply stats off of higher renown into the future. And it doesn't mean you have to go 500 pure faction, but it does mean getting to like 2,000 renown or so for every single one, which includes getting to 500 and getting every single one to level 100 horde if you haven't already done that. If you do that, that makes up for a good majority of the points. You don't have to do level 500 pure factions. Technically, you don't ever really need to do them. They're still done by some people because of the pets and everything for kingdom upgrades. But as far as total renown, you can get a good majority of those stats without ever getting a 2,500 faction. Let's see. You use most of your gems on weekly events, so you devote those to faction on Tuesdays. No, you don't need to. Like I just mentioned, I didn't see that question yet. But you don't have to spend gems to get renown. You can get about 80% of the renown in the game, or literally 80% of the renown in the game, even slightly higher, by simply doing just level 500 on every single kingdom, but not actually doing pure faction. And you do not need potions to do 500 for factions. As long as you own Iron Gut, or even if you want to cheese it with Mang, you can get it done. Like, you could probably do it on like a level 100 account with Mang if you get lucky enough. I got to like 200 to 300 on my Switch account, I believe, in Hall of Guardians, using nothing but Mang, while it was still very low level. And I'm pretty sure I could have gone all the way to 500 with enough luck and enough tries. But getting to 500 isn't the hard part, and that's where you get most of renown. And if you really want to max it out, if you haven't already, try on the kingdoms where you haven't yet, go do like a pure faction on level 100 or 200, somewhere around there, and that will give you a bunch of points for that. And then just never do 500 faction. Then you'll have every single one of your kingdoms, once you get it to 500 completion, to about 2,100 or 2,200 renown. And then that makes up a good bulk of the renown. You have a little over 80% of all the renown in the game, which is plenty enough to get a lot of stats. So you technically don't need a single 2,500 to get most of those stats. You'd still be slightly shorter on stats. Like, you might be like 3 lower by the time you get through all of them. But it wouldn't cost you any gems to do it. It would just cost you your 3 daily delve thingies every single day, which can take a while, obviously. You could use gems on it occasionally, but that's more so your choice if you want to, because it gets really pricey to get pure factions done. If you are going to spend gems, you definitely want to do the pure faction 500, though. It's kind of a waste to do gems just to get the 500 and not go for the pure faction. But yeah, you can do it just off of daily delves. A single delve can be maxed within, I believe, a month, or a little bit less than a month, because you get 3 per day. There's about 30 days in a month. That's 90 battles. You only need, yeah, you can almost get 2 done per month, assuming you don't lose a single delve, because with 3 per day, and that's about 90 per month, that comes out to a total of, what does that come out to? Because how many do you need? You need 48. You need 48 battles per, yeah, so basically 2 per month. You can basically get 2 500 factions per month. Not pure factions, but, you know, up to 2,000 something points per month, simply with your free ones that you get. But yeah, that's all you would need to do for it. But anyways, guys, I'm going to be heading out for now. Oh, also, if you haven't gotten level 100 faction done either, you can actually do that with only like 100 or so gems every single Tuesday event. Like, let's say you haven't done any pure faction, your pure faction points are currently at 0. If you do a Tuesday currently have 0, you can spend 90 gems and get it to 100. That's 100 points more than what you would have before. It's not a hefty amount of points, but if you do that for every single one, they start adding up. That's 3,400 points if you do that at minimum for every single kingdom in the game. So it definitely adds up to be a pretty decent amount of points. But anyways, guys, any other questions? Otherwise, I'm going to be calling it a night. We'll be back tomorrow, same time as always, 1 hour prior to now tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be then messing around with probably some Guild War teams. Maybe the new troop. Actually, I probably won't be messing around with the new troop. But yeah, we'll probably be mostly messing around with a little bit of Guild War prep and, of course, the spamming Explorer. And we'll have a redeem code. Hopefully, Salty will get us some more, too, so we don't run out. And, yeah, then we got Guild Wars all throughout the week. And this Friday, we have a really cool Mythic, which, of course, we'll be going over very in-depth once it comes out. And we'll have a video going up soon going over all of the weekly stuff. And we'll go from there. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for stopping by. Have a wonderful week. We'll catch you later. Stay safe out there. And I'll see you all soon. Goodbye, everyone. And thank you for watching.